Welcome to another lecture of our series of lectures about semantics and pragmatics. This is lecture 11. In this lecture we're going to continue our discussion of performative utterances. We will move on to talk more about speech act theory, which is based on our previous discussion of constative and performative utterances. As we said, that we can use utterances to perform an act or an action. So this theory, speech act theory, is proposed or is based on a book that is called How to Do Things with Words. It was written by the Oxford philosopher John L. Austin. So the theory basically says that we can use language more than just to convey information. We can use language also to do action. So we can use it as a mode of action in addition to using it to convey information. So speech acts has been classified into locutionary, illocutionary, and perlocutionary acts. So this is based on our discussion of constative and performative utterances that we discussed in the previous lecture, but now we classify speech acts into three different classes. We will start with each of these classes and give examples of them and so on. So in the locutionary act, we are simply saying something. So locutionary acts in an utterance is basically saying something that has meaning, so something meaningful. In other words, a locutionary act produces an understandable utterance. So if an utterance is understandable, this is achieved through the locutionary act. So we talked about sense and reference in a previous lecture, if you remember. Both of those are included in locutionary meaning of utterances. So locutionary meaning includes sense and reference. So if you remember our discussion of constative utterances, you will notice that there is a concentration on these utterances when we are looking at the locutionary aspect of speech acts. So locutionary, in constative utterances, we are focused mainly on locutionary aspects. So in addition to simply saying something meaningful, as we said in the locutionary aspect, we can also use an utterance for a particular purpose. For example, to answer a question, or to announce a verdict, or to give a warning to someone. So with these acts can be performed through performative utterances that we discussed previously. So in this sense, we are performing an illocutionary act. So this is the second class of acts, the illocutionary act, and this is can be seen mostly in performative utterances that we mentioned previously. So illocutionary act, basically you are performing an action, an act, okay? So you are performing a particular purpose. You are warning someone, you are thanking someone, you are promising someone. So these are called illocutionary acts. So thus, the illocutionary act, this is the definition, is the performance of an act. We perform an act in saying something. So we say something, and through that we are performing an act. Through the illocutionary act, or simply the illocution if you want, so you can either call it locutionary acts, or locution, illocutionary acts, or illocution, just a way of shortening it. An utterance made by a speaker has significance within the conventional system of social interaction. So we have a conventional system of social interaction between each other. If you want to thank someone, we have a convention for that. If you want to promise someone something, we have a convention for that. So this system includes, of course, thanking, promising, etc. So illocution has significance within this system of social interactions that we have. One way to think about illocution is that it reflects the intention. So what is the intention of the speaker when he says an utterance, or when he makes an utterance? So for example, someone says something, we think about his intention. Is he trying to thank the hearer? Is he trying to promise the hearer something? So this is basically the illocution. It is the intention of the speaker. Other examples of illocution, which is defined by social conventions, like we said, is, in addition to promising and thanking that we mentioned in the previous slide, is accusing, greeting, admitting, apologizing to someone, challenging someone, complaining about something, offering someone something, congratulating someone, praising someone, giving permission to someone to do something, proposing marriage, and others. So as you see, all of those can be performed through the elocution of an utterance. So for example, saying, "I'm very grateful to you for all you have done," this performs the action of thanking. So this performs an elocutionary act that is thanking, which is the speaker's intention. So if you look at the utterance, "I'm very grateful to you for all you have done," what do you think the intention of the speaker is? He's trying to thank the hearer, all right? So this is basically the elocution. This is the intention of the speaker in making the utterance. Now we move on to the third class of speech acts. So this is the third speech act we're going to talk about. Then we're going to compare the different speech acts so that we can understand them better. So now with the perlocutionary act, so we mentioned the locutionary act, the first one, saying something meaningful. The elocutionary act, which is basically the intention of the speaker, what the speaker wants to perform through the utterance. And then we have the perlocutionary act, which is the cause, or which is the effect, okay, or the consequence that is caused by the utterance made by the speaker. So the perlocutionary act carried out by a speaker making an utterance is the act of causing a certain effect. So it is the effect, it is the consequence of the utterance on the hearer and others through the utterance. So in Latin, we have perlocution. Per in Latin, this the first three letters here, per means through. So through the utterance we perform this act. I'm going to give you an example so that this idea is clear to you. If someone tells you, or someone else, there is a bee in your left ear, what do you think the result is going to be? What is the consequence of this? So maybe you will panic, maybe you will scream, maybe you'll scratch your ear. So all of these actions that are caused by the utterance are called the perlocution. All right. So the effect, the consequence of the utterance is the perlocution. So when someone panics, when he screams, when he scratches his ear because you told him there is a bee in your ear, this is called the perlocution. Causing these emotions and actions is the perlocution of the utterance, or what we call the perlocutionary act. As I said, you can call it perlocutionary act or perlocution. That someone performs by making the utterance. So there is something important to say about perlocution. The perlocution of an utterance is causing an effect to happen, perhaps even without the intention of the speaker. So the speaker does not control the perlocution. So you might say something expecting another effect, and without your intention, something else happens. So without even your intention, something else might happen through the utterance. So the point of carefully distinguishing the perlocutionary aspect of the speech act from others is that perlocution can often be unintentional. It can happen without the intention of the speaker. Now we're going to compare the different speech acts. So comparing here elocutionary act with the perlocutionary act, you may have guessed from our discussion some of the differences. The elocutionary act of an utterance is, one, intended by the speaker. As we said, it is the intention of the speaker when he made the utterance. Two, under his full control. So the speaker controls the act that he wants to do, the elocutionary act that he wants to do. So if he wants to thank someone, he is in control of this act. The third thing about elocutionary acts is that if it is evident when the utterance is made. So when the utterance is made, the elocutionary act is evident. On the other hand, the perlocutionary act has a number of properties that are different from elocutionary acts. First, it is not always intended by the speaker. So as I said, sometimes an effect or a consequence might happen that you didn't expect to happen but when making an utterance. We're going to look at an example of that in a bit. Second, not under his full control. You can't control the consequence. You cannot always control the effect of what you say to people. So sometimes you might say something to someone and then he gets angry without you having control of this. So getting angry, the person getting angry, maybe shouting, this is perlocution and you don't control it. You only have control of your elocution or of the elocution of the utterance, not the perlocution. The third difference is that it is usually not evident until after the utterance is made. After we make the utterance, then it becomes evident what the illocutionary act is. So when you thank someone, for example, the act of thanking someone is illocutionary because it is something that you intend. So when you thank someone, you intend to thank him. But when you try to persuade someone of something, you cannot control persuasion. So the hearer is the one who decides whether to be persuaded or not. So thanking is under your full control, so it is illocutionary, but persuading is not under your full control. As we said, illocutionary act has meaning. Illocution has force. It has the force of causing something to happen. And the illocutionary has consequence. So it is the consequence of the action that happens. So this is it for today's lecture. Hopefully that was interesting and useful to you. And inshallah see you in the next lecture. We'll talk more about the illocution. And we're going to classify illocution into direct and indirect illocutions. So thank you for listening.